Anybody that's got kids or seen the film Encanto knows that we don't talk about Bruno, but today we're going to talk about Bruno. He is probably the most underappreciated yet most productive player in the Premier League. And it's always been the case at United. Whether you look at when he first joined, when he carried us from that January all the way through the end of the season, and look at where he is now, he has just continually provided goals and assists and chance creation. And a lot of work rate has gone into that as well. Now, it's becoming a little bit of a talking point once again, that whether he provides enough for us, partially as a captain, but partially just as a creative midfielder. And there's so much evidence to suggest why Bruno Fernandes not only should be backed as Manchester United captain, but his recent performances for both club and country have been perfect examples of this. With Portugal, he has been a credit to Portugal's attacking efforts, not just on this international break, but in this international break. He's been scoring, he's been assisting, and he's looking extremely confident in the games that he's played. Now, they beat Luxembourg. They beat them 9-0. And it was a game that saw Bruno score late on. He got a hat-trick of assists. One of those assists was an absolutely beautiful Trivela into the box that really showed the level of player that he is, and maybe a little bit of the level of the opposition as well. Against Slovakia, he pretty much won the game for the Portuguese, and it was a real low-driven strike, reflective of the sort of standards that we see from him as Manchester United captain. For United, I think it's even more important to look at his recent performances. And I think despite the poor outcomes of these games, Bruno has been there in the good moments in those games. Against Forest, it was clear to see why Bruno was selected as the captain, scores a late winner, assists Casemiro, it was a real solid game-winning performance. We've also seen him playing absolute pinpoint passes, the likes of Garnacho, Anthony, Rashford, which is something that he's always been capable of, something that he's always demonstrated for us. And if the goal scorers were actually putting the ball in the back of the net, I mean, Marcus is our only forward that has scored, by the way. Bruno would probably have an extra 3 or 4 assists at least this season, and that's just not been the case. Now, the one thing that I think is, it's not necessarily a valid criticism, but I hold my hands up and say, yeah, I understand why you would criticise him, is that he's pretty emotional, and he moans a lot. But he's not a moaner that downs tools. He's a moaner who then gets on with it. And it's maybe not quite in the stoic sort of hard man sense that Roy Keane would moan, like it's aggressive. It's more, he's going to tilt his head to the side, throw his hand up in the air and ask you to do better. Whereas Roy Keane might say, pass a fucking ball. And it's a different feeling, the two sort of ways of leading like that. But neither are right and neither are wrong. They're just a reflection of the person that's making the demand. Having him injured or out of this team would be a massive blow. Now, he's so resilient, we've never really had to see that. And it feels like if Bruno would need to be away, that might be the only time that he gets the sort of appreciation for his contributions. Because if you took Bruno out of this team, it would absolutely grind to a halt in terms of its chance creation. Because there's nobody else that does that. And I think we've seen different Brunos over the last year. Not just in terms of his output, but he's been deployed deeper, wider, away from that sort of number 10 sort of attacking midfield kind of position. And I think what we know about Bruno is he will provide creativity wherever he is deployed. And when you look at what this might mean for the future, there's obviously a long way to go this season. I actually saw a comment on the YouTube channel the other day saying we should just write this season off. I mean, it's 4 games in, mate. How about relax? But I think it's obviously multiple different connections still require unpacking. There's multiple competitions to get started, let alone reach their conclusions. And I think we're going to see Bruno contribute massively to any success, or even if we don't have success, he's going to contribute massively. Hopefully it ends up seeing him lift some trophies as a Manchester United captain. And with Bruno's leave of absence, I actually think you could see another change in Bruno's deployment. You might see him occupy that advanced wide right position on the wing where there's seemingly been a real desire to feature him from Ten Hag. Now, is that because of a lack of other options? Is that because there's been so little else in midfield he's wanted to try and shoehorn somebody in? It could also be Mount or Sancho. It could be Palestri. But I think there's a strong chance you'll see Bruno featuring off the right. Whatever Ten Hag decides he wants to do, I think it's going to be essential for Bruno in a big, big way to be his first consideration when selecting the team. Right, lads, listen. One of the reasons that I keep a full beard at the moment is because back in the army days, I had to wet shave every single day. Every single day. And it gets old quickly. And it gets boring quickly. But you know what? Manscaped, if this was available back in the day, might have been happy days with it. And Manscaped, your trusted below-the-waist groomers, have come up with something that is revolutionary for above-the-neck game as well. They've gone above and beyond with the new Handyman electric face shaver, designed to give you that smooth, chiseled look for a clean shave without the faff of the traditional wet shave. Pop over to manscaped.com, snatch yours. You're going to get 20% off plus free shipping by using the code Howson20. Listen, your mug is the first thing that people spot, right? So make sure it's something to see when you get the Handyman shaver. Take it from me, someone that cherishes their beard, this is a game changer. It can tackle up 3 days of growth like a pro. It's got the skin safe technology, so you're going to stay clear of all the nicks and cuts, giving you the confidence to really go for a close shave. It's a go anywhere thing, perfect for wet and dry use. It's not going to let you down on the road because it's compact. It's got a long lasting battery. And if you've got a mane like mine, they've also got the Beard Hedger Pro. That's a one-stop shop for beards, all your different needs. It's got a trimmer, it's got 20 different lengths, all on one guard. So say goodbye to clutter, say hello to easy grooming. Now listen, I've got a little challenge for you guys here. If 250 of you get this Handyman, screenshot me your order and tweet me with it, I will shave off this glorious beard of mine. That is my challenge to you lot. If 250 of you do it, I will go clean shaven, but I want to see those receipts from you as well. So hurry up, head to manscaped.com, use the code Howson20, get 20% off and free shipping, and let's see if the Handyman can tempt me back into the clean shaven club. I think having Bruno Fernandes comfortable in a position will breed success in what is currently a pretty disjointed Manchester United side. I just don't see any of the major criticism of Bruno Fernandes as being fair. The one thing I can kind of agree with, even though I'm not necessarily on board with, is like, he's a bit emotional. Okay. Is that it? Because you cannot question him as a footballer. I don't think you can question his commitment to Manchester United. And I don't think you can question his quality to producing. Now, people talk about how shit this United team is. Yet Bruno was the most creative player in the Premier League last season. Right? Above everybody else that you want to mention, that are constantly lauded for how many chances they create. And then people say, well, he loses the ball a lot. Now, one of my favourite stats is like the three people in Europe who lost the ball the most was like Kevin De Bruyne, Lionel Messi and Bruno at one point. The reason for that, well, they're trying to create chances. That's it. If your centre-half is losing the ball the most, you got problems. If your leading assister is losing the ball all the time, not really so many problems, providing that he is actually creating assists. And it's a mad thing watching people scapegoat really, really good players, especially the ones that have got a massive part, not only to play week in, week out, but in how you actually perform week in, week out. I think Bruno needs a lot more gratitude from people than he gets. The usual suspects, the Souness's and that, they'll never give him credit because they've just got a pure anti-United agenda. It's like asking me for an opinion on Liverpool. Do you think I'm going to be objective, or do you think I'm just going to say they're all shit? Unfortunately, though, I'm not a neutral, and I'm not portrayed as a neutral. I'm a United fan, and that's the only hat that I wear. Graham Souness is meant to be neutral and supposedly giving intelligent, experienced insights rather than just fucking waffle. Bruno's massively, massively disrespected. There's basically not been a better player over the length of time he's been in the Premier League than him. And some people are going to be like, what about blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, some of those players that you're about to mention have been injured. No one has been as consistent as him since he arrived. No one. No one. Oh, Van Dijk had a good 18 months. Right, yeah, cool. What's he doing now? There we go. So I think he needs a lot more respect. And is he a different captain to Roy Keane or Nemanja? Yeah, he is, yeah. But he's still a leader. And he's still one of the best players at this football club. And I can't believe some of the criticisms that I see about him. You know, do you ever hear about him going out? No. Do you ever hear about him being late for training? No. Now, obviously, knowing our age, we know that he does extras. That's all we know about him. He's the guy that lives for football, plays football constantly, plays football outside of football, just wants to get better all the time, and I'm fucking right behind that. Give us your thoughts on him. See you in the next one. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, five-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.